PM Express. My name is Nana Ansakwa. Now, there have been pockets of unrest in parts of the country as the president has made known his choice of appointee for the position of municipal and district chief executive. While some think the position, take the position as a thank you to the party faithful, others actually expect these officials to do their job. Development in communities becomes stunned as there is conflict between DCEs and assembly members. There is mismanagement of funds and things generally fall apart. There is the school of thought that these positions should be open to elections, where the people have a person who has their best interest at heart and can hold accountable the person they vote for. The reasoning behind the recent agitation seems to be that the president's nominee is not known to the people in the district. As the change is ongoing, regional ministers have been directed to hold the fort. But former president of the National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana, George Cheibafo, says that it is unconstitutional and contradicts Article 242 and 243 of the 1992 Constitution, which clearly defines the district assembly system composition and its functions. The central government can't do it all, but can local government do it? Are we set up properly for this? Can we move beyond politics and move into governance? How can we best give the people the governance they deserve? Dr. Kwesi Jonah is a senior research fellow at the Institute of Democratic Governance. And while he is my guest in studio, Doctor, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope that we can take a critical look at this and get some real practical answers. Helping us will be Eric Odro-Osai, who's the Dean of Institute of Local Governance Studies, and George Cheibafo, who's also joined us later, a former president of the National Association of Local Government Authorities. Doc, this issue, is it that we are reporting it a bit more now, or the issue, these agitations are more now? Because you tend to find out that the news is pretty much, Mr. A has been sent to Salaga, and Salaga is saying that if you set a foot here, we'll break that foot. You hearing these stories. Is it just coming? Is it a new phenomenon that we are developing?
No, it is not a new phenomenon.
I see.
It has always been there. Maybe we are now more open about it, and maybe also as the democratic environment has evolved, people now are more outspoken than they were in the past.
Okay.
If they don't like something, they come out with it. Mm-hmm. And this is why but it has been there for some time now, because the process through which individuals get nominated for these positions are themselves not very transparent.
I see. Let's see. Look, the whole idea of DCs is to decentralize power from the local government. That idea, are we developed enough for now, or should central government hold on until the local government is ready to take power?
There's absolutely no question about central government holding on until local government. If you want to decentralize, you decentralize and give power to the people living in those districts to take their own decisions. There's nothing like they are not yet ready, so I'll hold on to power until a certain time. The problem is the particular local government system that we have adopted under this constitution. We adopted this before the 1992 constitution was promulgated, and we embodied this new idea into the constitution.
Okay.
It was designed in such a way, the system was designed in such a way that it is not total decentralization. It has been so designed as to give the central government a very powerful hand in the way in which the assemblies operate. Hence, the president is not only the person who appoints the district, municipal, or metropolitan chief executive, But also, the members of the assembly itself, 30% of them, it's not just the district chief executive, 30% of the members of the assembly will be appointed by the president. It is better to put everybody let everybody get elected. Let the people elect their own chief executive. Leave the president out. But for now, the president is the one who appoints the DCE. The president is the one who appoints 30% of the members of the assembly. This is central government control.
Doc, then my next question obviously is, can we elect president, we go to election for presidents and MPs.
Members of parliament.
And it's a drain on everything, finances, time, emotions, everything. Can we add this to the burden? Because, can we add it to our burden?
But already we elect 70% of district assembly members.
I see.
And if you know the numbers involved, now, if you conducted a parliamentary election, maximum you have about 4 or 5 candidates contesting in a constituency. So you print a ballot paper, you have only 5 names on it. If you conducted election for this assembly, one district, so many members appearing on the ballot papers. It is more expensive to conduct that kind of election. And we are already electing 70%. So what are you saying? What will the election of the 30% other members who are appointed by the government do?
Doc,
what more trouble? What more expense will it add?
You have a situation where, by all means, the Ashanti region would elect a DCE who is more aligned to MPP, and then the Volta region will elect a DCE who is aligned to, whoever it is. So, and we run a system where either of these two parties will give us a president. So then that DCE is saying, well, I'm not going to dig that borehole, because if I don't dig it, these people are going to get upset and then not vote for the president and give the president trouble. Or
No. On the contrary, if we followed the system of election, don't forget there are 2 different ways of election. You can abolish the present system under which political parties are completely barred from getting involved in district level politics, and allow at the moment, political parties are not allowed to sponsor candidates. Neither should any candidate contest election in district level elections in the name of a party. Okay, so at the moment, the district level administration is non-party based. It's not based on parties.
Okay.
So you can have an election and allow parties to get involved. So that, just as we do for members of parliament, every party will nominate its candidates and you elect. Even the chief executive, every party will put forward its candidate and we elect. That is one way.
Okay.
The other way is, of course, if you want to maintain the non-partisan system in the district assembly, just allow individuals who are competent enough to contest the election in their own individual capacity and get the job done. But at the moment, we don't want the people to directly elect the chief executive. We don't even want the people to elect all the members of the assembly. And this is where the problem lies, because it undermines accountability.
Okay, Doc, I'm going to come back to it. But with political parties getting involved, we have a system where even SRC presidents today, sometimes not even like Legon, like a small private school, and, they are in there trying to sponsor candidates to become SRC presidents. You think they'll leave these guys alone? They will be in there still influencing with their money.
Quite sincerely, if you want to be very frank, we should allow political parties to operate at this level. You see, you cannot run away from the reality.
Okay.
Right now, we say that this level elections are non-partisan. But I have researched, interviewed people. Immediately after this level elections, you hear a party saying, oh, from the way our members got elected, you are going to win the next election. Immediately after a district level election, people living in every district know which party now dominates. Every district level election, you get these candidates who are supposed to be non-partisan going to various party districts. Oh, I'm contesting the election, and can I get any support? And some of the parties, knowing the law, simply send them away and ask them to go and see individual members of the party, who then sponsor them. The reality on the ground is that the parties are already involved. And we cannot bury our heads in the desert sands like an ostrich and expose 99.9% of the body to the elements. It's real. The parties are already involved. And I do not understand. So for me, the way forward would be maybe to allow the parties to get involved in district level politics.
Well, look, I'm a chief, so let me be a little bit biased here.
Okay.
Now, before we elect a chief for every town, even though the chief is going to be a chief for the whole town, you know, the Queen Mother brings a nominee, Jasihini agrees, that person agrees, some key stakeholders agree that, yes, we're going to agree this person is right for you.
Yeah.
They show you, yeah, he's strong enough.
Qualified to be our chief.
Qualified to be our chief.
Let's roll. No party involvement.
No, but so can the district, maybe the paramountcy within the districts and the chiefs within the districts, then maybe the prominent and stakeholders within the district decide that, look, Dr. Kwesi Jonah is from this region and he's very hardworking. So we want him to take control of this side of things. Whether he's MPP, whether he's NDC, that's what the general consensus says. Without all these massive, so we don't have to go through that expensive, because by all means, one or two names will come up. Okay,
so you are proposing that instead of going through elections, let the traditional rulers like you
and stakeholders
and other stakeholders elect the person for us. I'm sorry to say that the majority of the people will not accept this. It is true that in the early years of colonialism, local government was nothing but chiefs. The chief was the local government, and local government was the chief. They had cases, they fined people, they had what they call agent police, they could arrest people at the local level, precisely because the colonial government did not have enough personnel to do all this.
To cover everything.
They used the system of indirect rule, the chiefs constituted the local government, and it worked perfectly. I'm sorry to say that 21st century, nobody is going to go back to this system. Okay, so that system is now part of our history. But 21st century, when every major democracy in the world is electing people, both at the national level and the district level, this system that we are operating right now is not sustainable.
There's a clip here of some youth agitating. Let's just see that, and then we'll continue, which is our new phenomenon. And Doctor is saying that because we are now enlightened and more vocal, we can do this. Let's just watch this.
The demonstrators, led by the Azongo branch chairman of the NDC, Rahman Yaya, accused Eric Adai of creating serious divisions within the party in the Sutifi constituency, citing his poor human relations with party members. According to him, his failure to win the constituency's parliamentary seats for the party on 4 different occasions makes it all too evident that he is not liked in the area.
So far as a party in there, come as no there. Yanshama Eric Adai Nkwama Megu party no. Obi awa ukrom kra to aba unya. What stand 3 times in Yawanya? After so party man won't show me executives are come back. I bought Mama party not to me a cosono. Won't show me only executives in Yako, only chama and cat, only secretary and cat. Bibi as a chama ya. Now what you know the amount oh chama oh penal. Now the amount 752 more. Sanuntina see and penal.
Some of the demonstrators who spoke to Joy News vowed to continue to highlight reasons they believe the incumbent DCE will have to go.
Kenya say number 1, Kenya say number 2, and Dr. So they do one executives at this in you. One of us two and on executives. 1 month to party in Basa and you didn't send back.
Chairman of the NDC in the constituency, Charles Adai, who handed over keys to the party vehicle retrieved from the DC, implored the party youth to remain calm, even though he largely agreed with them.
said this in one factory arma party in the intimate in your Jumabium. Yadi Cardia report to Condia. Yes, Munya Botre. So be free so free so our buying in chain. Young Jimmy Fat and Tokwa, young Jimmy for Yahoo and yet. And yes, Ramo say, Women and I now are joining back, Akuma back. Party, no party into me into my pefra.
Erica Dai has meanwhile rubbished the allegations leveled against him and accused some unnamed persons also interested in the position of being behind the demonstrations. He says he remains unshaken by the agitations because President John Mahama has a sole prerogative in deciding who he wants for the position.
Office no. Me the computers goom. Me di nkonya gu ho me high secretary e di bibia ho ene ko office ko hese computer ba ko kwa ho a ko hese eno mam de ko gu ho ni nyina ho a edomama obeyi nipa se o meye adwuma no nim adwuma a waye no party no me de me besom me party minim se ya ye kasa ya ye dede ade a wo so wo pe na so wo se obie ebi se secretary so wo pe chairman so wo pe dede a ye ni nyina no enye ka asem ne ye hu dede o e position ye den.
Nesta Kafuya Jomes reports for Joy News.
Well, you just saw that, but we're going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, we're going to continue the conversation, and hopefully I'll get Mr. Chebafo to also join us on the phone. We'll take a quick break now. Well, hello and welcome back. We are asking, a better local government, should it be elected or should it be appointed? And you saw the youth there in Salaga, kicking against the president's nominee. But I have on the phone now Mr. George Chebafo, who's a former president of National Association of Local Authorities, and he's made a statement saying that it is illegal to just kick DCEs and MMDCEs out and just ask the ministers to take over. Regional ministers to take over because it's against the Constitution. This is quoted Article 242 and 243. I was trying to find out why don't we find a replacement and then let the guy there go? I mean, why do you get the guy to go and then you find a replacement? But Mr. George Chebafo is more of an expert. George, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Nana.
George, I just want to find out why the officer in charge should vacate his position and there's no replacement, so the regional minister should take over. I don't know what the protocol is on that.
Well, thank you very much and greetings to your audience. Let me state that the tenure of office of MMDC has been fixed by the law. You can look at Section 25 of Act 462, which states clearly and unambiguously that MMDC shall have 4-year tenure of office and they can serve for two terms consecutively. So the point remains that before their term expires, whoever is in charge as president vested with the power of appointment of MMDC under Article 243 shall have done the necessary preparatory work to ensure either the continuity of the existing person or his replacement, so that we do not necessarily create a vacuum. But once the person's tenure expires, definitely he cannot unilaterally continue. This is the situation because, first of all, district assemblies are creations of the Constitution. In Article 241, the Constitution states that MMDAs have legislative, deliberative, and executive powers. They are the legislative, deliberative, and executive authority in a district. And then 242 clearly defines the membership of assemblies. 70% elected, 30% appointed, the MMDC, and then the member or members of parliament within the district. So they constitute the corporate structure of a district assembly. And an assembly is a corporate structure. It has perpetual succession. It can sue and be sued. That is the status of assemblies. The Constitution goes further to determine the process of ensuring the status of a district chief executive. It's clearly determined by the Constitution. It says that the president shall appoint a district chief executive with the prior approval. And the emphasis is on the prior approval by the district assembly. The Constitution has defined the status of a chief executive for a district. So if the president, either advertently or inadvertently, decides that he is not going to look at the term of the MMDC that he himself has appointed and giving an instrument of appointment indicating the date of the appointment, and the legal provision that the president has a 4-year fixed term, renewable, and the president allows the time to lapse, he doesn't say anything, and the president continues for 2 months, and then suddenly an announcement comes that he should hand over to a regional minister. First of all, the law clearly states that no one person can belong to 2 assemblies. Now, you have dismissed 6 MMDCs in one region. Then you ask an individual of a regional minister to act. So the minister is going to be a member of 6 assemblies, which is illegal. And then, like I said, the status is defined by the Constitution. The person, before he is designated a chief executive, must have the approval of the assembly. So how does a chief executive, who is supposed to be the chairman of the executive committee, responsible for the day-to-day administration of the district, and then oversees the activities of government departments in the district, perform these functions in his capacity as regional minister when he has not been indeed approved by the assembly? How does he preside over the executive committee and submit a report to the assembly in his capacity as chairman of that committee when indeed he is an alien to the assembly? These are clear issues of constitutionality. And I think that Ghana must look at some of these things very critically and not allow the abuse of due process by succeeding governments, and then they get away with it. I think that it is time for us to stand up clearly and look at what is happening within the decentralization sector.
George, would it have been better to, let that, even though the time has lapsed, keep them there until we find a replacement? Because that would also be breaking the Constitution.
Yes.
That is so. Exactly so.
So you don't allow.
Like I'm telling you, the president appointed the MMDCs. He gave them instruments of appointment, indicating the date of appointment, and then taking cognizance of Section 25 of Act 462, which states clearly that the MMDC has 4-year term. So why should the president sit back and allow the person to finish his term and ask him to continue in office? So this is an abuse of the law.
I have Dr. Kwesi Jonah in the studio. I'll bring him here. Doc, the president has got too much on his plate then.
Well, we have always said that the appointive powers of the president are simply too wide. And it is not possible for the president to be in all the districts to know what is happening in every district. And this is how come interest groups and cliques then push the president into appointing particular people who are not popular with the people at the local level.
Because this is a clear case of doomed if you don't and doomed if you do. Your time has expired, and if you leave, there's a vacuum.
The point he's making is that you shouldn't even allow the time to expire before you look for the next person, so that this will not happen. You have done 2 terms. Your term is 4 years. You cannot do more than 2 terms. In other words, not more than 8 years. You have finished 2 terms already. Mm-hmm. Before the end of your term, the next DCE should have been appointed, going
through the system, going through an orientation and handing over.
That you do not ask somebody to act to. That is the point he's making. That is the point he's making.
George.
Hello.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, you see.
But
if you look at
some of them have refused to go, or not refused, but they're still working, because I'm sure they don't know who to hand over to. Just don't turn up at work, or what do I do? Because maybe the minister, like you said, hasn't been able to come round to take the handover notes and everything. I mean, I don't know. Is there somebody there that they can hand over to and just walk out of the office?
Yes, but before then, let me make one brief point.
Sure.
You see, it's not for nothing that the legal regime states clearly that this between MMDA elections, these assembly elections and national elections, there should be an interval of 6 months. It is to give the president enough space to be able to prepare himself to elect successors to MMDCs when their time expires. That is why he is elected. He is sworn into office on 7th January, and then the DC's term also, runs ahead of him. That is the anticipation that the framers of the Constitution had. Now, let me come back to the issue. I think that Dr. Kwesi Jonah has been so phenomenal in dealing with the issues. You see, if you look at the process of selecting MMDCs, like he rightly said, the president cannot be in all the 216 MMDs. So the process starts with the party in power. The party has to receive nominations from prospective MMDCs. Then it does the screening, submits a shortlisted list to the regional party office for onward submission to Accra. That is the process. Look, if you look at Article 248, like Dr. Riley said, these assemblies are supposed to be non-partisan. It is illegal to either hold yourself as a party candidate in this level elections or for a party to support a candidate. It is even a crime that is punishable, by conviction. It is in the law. So why should we then appoint an MMDC who is a member of the assembly through the partisan process? That itself is flawed and it is illegal. But that is the practice. There's a vast difference between the theory that the power is vested in the president and the practice that begins with the party. So now, if you look at the structure of political parties, there are fragmentations within the parties. Everybody is supporting a candidate because now people have realized that you might not have even a bicycle. Once you are appointed an MMDC, within 4 years you build houses and acquire vehicles. Meanwhile, the party wants its pound of flesh, and you are using the money to take care of yourself. So everybody wants his person to assume that mantle so that he can also get something from that. So once the person's preferred candidate or the group's preferred candidate is not selected, then there's agitation. And it has become so pervasive that now even MMDCs have become defiant. The Minister of Local Government wrote to them 2 months ago to hand over to the regional ministers. They have refused. The announcement has been made to hand over. They are refusing. So you can imagine the confusion and the chaotic nature of the appointments this time around. You get my point? Because the person's term expires. You don't tell him anything. He continues in office for 2 months. Meanwhile, you have started nominating his colleagues to serve their second term. And then suddenly you ask him to leave. They are defiant. And if we don't manage this situation very well, I can assure you, we will get into a level where it will be uncontrollable. It will get out of hand. So I think that I agree perfectly with Dr. Jonah that we have to elect our MMDCs. That is the situation now. You look at the Constitutional Review Commission report, if you have had the opportunity of going through it. They have stated that majority of Ghanaians are advocating for partisan district level elections and a direct election on partisan basis of assembly members and MMDCs. But ironically, when they were formulating their recommendation, they said we should stagger it into 3 aspects. Direct election for metropolitan assemblies, nominating 5 persons, and then screening them by the Public Service Commission to reduce them to 3, and then continue with the status quo with the district level election. I don't understand what is happening in this country. You look at the elective principle as provided for in the Constitution. It is unconstitutional to adopt that practice. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but as I can state unambiguously, you look at the election of president, because of the equal opportunities offered to Ghanaians to contest elections, you cannot say that you wouldn't allow somebody who qualifies by the terms of the Constitution to contest for president. You can't say so when it comes to the MP. You can't say so when it comes to the assembly member. You can't say so when it comes to the unit committee member. You can also not say so when it comes to the election of the representative of the region to the Council of State. Why is the Constitutional Review Commission, which had a lot of lawyers on it, prescribing that the president would select 5 people and then they will be screened by the PS, Public Service Commission, for 3 persons to be presented to a district so that the president will foster and compel people within a district that these 3 NDC people are the only people that will allow them to contest for the position of district chief executive. It is unconstitutional because it's against the elective principle of the Constitution, which provides equal opportunities and fundamental rights to every Ghanaian once you satisfy the conditions that have been prescribed by the Constitution itself. Be a Ghanaian, be a registered voter, be of sound mind, might have paid all your taxes and all the things that have been prescribed by the Constitution. And we want to find a way, circumvent the process, and maintain the status quo. It is not right because the conditions do not call for that. If we do not change the system and allow Ghanaians to elect their own leaders who will be accountable to them, we are going to face a lot of upheavals with regards to the appointment of MMDCs using the present arrangement.
Sorry, George, stay on the line for me because Doctor just mentioned something. I mean, that was all fair, and I wanted to find that. You know, after all these nominations come, we still don't know how. You know, they will decide that it's going to be Doctor or it's going to be George that I'm going to elect to be a DC, and that not being so transparent is also very dangerous, as you mentioned. You know, and George is also sharing the same concern. So, should there be a principle then, you know, we're going to elect the one who's most highly educated or the one who stayed in the district more or the one who's proven to be more patriotic? How then do we...
Why do you want to give yourself all this trouble? Why does the president want to give himself all this trouble? You send one person that he's rejected, you send another person that is rejected. Now you say, nominate 5 people. They are going to give the Public Service Commission extra work, pruning it down to... Let us elect DCs the same way we elect our members of parliament. Period. And all these troubles will be over. Let's elect our DCs, MCs, the same way that we elect our... And then all these troubles will be over.
George, would it not be too costly? I mean, our elections in this country, I mean, even assemblymen, I'm told sometimes have to pay underhand. You know, DCs apparently, you know, backdoor, you need to even pay for, you know, to have your name put on the list and go and hope to God that it's you that they pick. If we go this way, would it not get too expensive?
But incidentally, well, that's question for George. But incidentally, those who oppose the election have never mentioned the cost. Nobody, those who oppose the direct election never mentioned the cost element. Never.
I see.
It is not a cost element they have worried over. Anyway, let's George.
I'll take you now.
Yeah, you see, what is happening now is just an attempt to protect executive power and authority. That is the reason why successive governments have decided to perpetuate the status quo and not, you know, go for election. You see, MMDCs are appointed to steer development in the districts. But look, once again, let's look at the appointment process. The first consideration, and indeed the most important factor that the party considers, is the person's commitment and contribution to the party in the constituency. I listened to Mr. Adekoka this morning, regional chairman of Greater Accra, and he said that that is the major consideration for the party to consider in terms of, you know, presenting somebody to the president for appointment. Your commitment to the party and then your contribution to the party. But look at the functional arrangement of the MMDC. MMDCs are supposed to be chairman of the executive committee of the assembly, which is responsible for collating reports from subcommittees and then putting them together for the attention of the assembly. In the absence of the assembly, it takes deliberative decisions, it takes executive decisions, it takes administrative decisions. The MMDC is responsible for the day-to-day running of the assembly. He is responsible for implementing decisions of the assembly day-by-day basis. He is responsible for overseeing the entire government machinery in the district. He is chairman of the tender committee. He is chairman of the municipal or district security committee. So if you are not taking somebody on the basis of his competence and his capacity to deliver as provided by law, but the person is picked because he has contributed to the fortunes of the party, and it's based on political patronage, you can expect, abysmal performance, mediocrity. That is why, if you have observed, most of the people who have been rejected by the assemblies and then agitated on by party supporters are people who have served 1 4-year term, because they were not selected on the basis of competence, but on the basis of political patronage. So the party people are saying that we selected you because you were a party man to become a chief executive. When you got there, you forgot about us. We didn't get our share. If you listen to the sound by the picture that you played, what were the reasons that they were assigning? That's what the party people were saying. Is that the reason why the constitution provided for a district chief executive to steer the development of the assembly? Because the assembly is responsible for the overall development of the district. Sanitation, environmental management, drainage, toilets, schools,
markets.
And these are the critical issues that matter when it comes to the people's welfare and conditions of life. So you go and pick somebody, a mediocre, who does not know anything about assembly system, who does not even understand the way the game is played, who is not even conversant with the socio-economic conditions within a district, but because he has money and he has financed the assembly, he was in New York for 100 years, he comes and then he's made a chief executive. That is why you have a chief executive summoning an assembly to an emergency meeting to change the name of a national state facility to suit the assembly's convenience. Even though they do not have the authority to do that, they did it. It is because of these things that we're talking about. So the point is that the way the system has been crafted, it has outlived its usefulness. Objective conditions and realities have caught up with it in terms of the contemporary geopolitics of this country. We need to change that. When you mention it, people are saying that, when you elect a DC who is with the opposition party, then he cannot work with government.
It's ridiculous.
I am saying with emphasis that there is nowhere in the law that prescribes that the president will have to direct a DC as to how he should manage a district. The functions of the DC has been spelled out clearly in the laws. Act 480, the National Development Planning Systems Act, Act 462, Act 663, all the laws have determined how a chief executive must function. It has also indicated the function of the assembly. So it is a matter of the personality qualified to perform the functions. Again, if you look at the acrimony within the country, it is because of the winner takes all principle. The party is in power, everything is for us. The opposition is consigned to oblivion and history, and then they have no opportunity of participating in governance. So the least things pass something. If we elect them, you have opposition parties, which have lost elections at the national level, participating in governance.
Hold on, because I put this question to you again, and you see, with us, everything is abiding. Everything is abiding. So if there's a DC running a district, and there's no water in an area, all this is abiding for consumer. So if this DC happens to be a CPP man, and there's an NDC government, even through no fault of his, he's unable to deliver this water or the road or a tree or whatever it is, everybody's going to say, there you go, we told you, it's sabotage. He hasn't brought it because of that. Aren't we going to have that? Because of how we have done our politics. So divisive and so vindictive. That's how our politics is.
I would simply refer you to the experience in other countries. In Britain, the Conservative Party may be in power. It's a unitary state. It's not a federal state. But many local councils are controlled by the Labour Party. And they strive to collect local taxes and deliver services, excellent services to the people so that that party can be retained
in the local community.
Yes. And if you get so many Labour-controlled districts performing, it even affects the electoral fortunes of the party at the national level. If we want to practice democracy, we should practice it the proper way. We should give the parties the opportunity to contest, to rent, and it will break this winner-takes-all system. If we were to allow parties into local government, many districts in Ashanti, in Eastern region, in other places will be controlled by the NPP. And the frustration of going into opposition will not be so much. So this winner-takes-all system that Mr. Che has just put his finger on, we can break it simply by allowing, one way of breaking it is to allow the parties to
run the local governments.
Yes. Some districts will be controlled by NPP, and there will be competition. Some people will be watching. The NPP-controlled districts are doing very well. You know, so let us do things properly. And just headache of the president sending how many candidates there to be rejected, all these things will be a thing of the past. Why do we want to maintain a system that is not sustainable?
I'm going to take a break now, but one thing also that I'll put to my two gentlemen when I come back is, in Britain, just as Doctor is saying, sometimes you're not too concerned or you don't know the DCE. Yeah, you know that the MP is this person, but all these other assemblymen and everything are there, but you don't really know. But I want to know, why is it that we are so particular to know our DCE, his wife, his children, his car, his house? Why are we so interested in it? Stay tuned, we're coming back. Hello and welcome back. We're just trying to find out how it's possible to select one individual, send him into a district, and everybody in the district is going to like this man. I don't know, maybe we need to elect Father Christmas or something, then everybody likes Father Christmas. But I'll start with Doctor. I still have George Chebafo on the phone, but I'll start with Dr. Doc. You know, in the advanced countries like Britain, you said, you don't get too involved in whether Tony McNulty is the MP in Harrow, so you know, I know his wife, his car, his house, what he ate, when he came, when he went. You just know he's there, and then that's it. Open and closed book. Why are we so involved? We know where they came from, where they are going, what they are going to eat, and how many kids they look after in school. Why are we so involved in that?
I think the big difference between these two kinds of systems that you are talking about is that in one system, the system is delivering the services that you don't even need to know. The other system is delivering the services that the people really need. Sanitation, street cleaning, schools, health. Education, health, so very well. You don't even, the person is not the focus of attention. In the other system, which is a patronage system, it's the individual who is representing whoever in Accra appointed him, and so on and so, who becomes the focus of attention. The services are not coming, the schools, the streets are filthy, water is not good, the market, when just one rain and every place is filthy. The system is not delivering the services that the people need.
So you need to find out who's in charge all the time.
You need to find out who this guy.
I like your idea of that competition, that if we let partisan politics go into the local districts, and then you have one district is NDC, and the next one is a CPP district, the next one, you can clearly see that, oh, the schooling system here, this guy is really interested. And maybe, so then the next election, we say, no, we want our schools to also go, so let's go and elect these party members. Yeah. And I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't know, George, what other solution can we have? Not one that we can just talk about, but something that we can make more practical.
Before then, let me add a little bit to what the example that Doctor clearly set out. He used the example of Britain. Yes. I agree perfectly with him, but I think he even went too far. You go to Kampala in Uganda.
Many African countries.
The mayor of Kampala belongs to the opposition.
I see.
At one point, he contested the seat of MP with the government person. That person won and became a minister, but he went to election and won the mayoral seat and became the mayor.
I see.
So you go to a conference, see the mayor there, because it's in Kampala, the mayor is there, the minister is there, the president is there. They all belong to different shades of political opinion, but they work together. Sierra Leone, after the war, they came to Ghana to understand their system. They went back and practiced this for about a year or two. They said, no, it wasn't going to work. They changed and went back to partisan and direct elections. You go to Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa, Mali, Nigeria, all these countries elect their assembly members, they call them councillors, and their mayors, MMDC. So what is happening to Ghana? Now, I'll dovetail this into the question that you have asked. You see, the focus is on MMDCs because, one, government, the president elected them, so they hold themselves in that capacity as such. And then the people are looking at them as the presidents of the district, forgetting that there's an institution called a district assembly, which is supposed to deliver effective and efficient service to the people. Now, you need resources to develop the district. But because central governments want to control resources across board, and for that matter, they deny assemblies of this resource. If you go to Article 252 of this Constitution, it states that not less than 5% of the total revenues of Ghana
it's not 7%.
shall be set aside for distribution to assemblies for development.
I think it's now gone to 7.5, and I think they're even moving to 10. They're looking at 10.
We are moving to 7.5.
And now we're thinking at 10%.
I am speaking to the constitutional provision.
Okay.
Minimum. Yes. What has central government done? It has decided to distribute some of the money to the regional coordinating councils, to the district assembly common fund, to the ministry of local government, to members of parliament as common fund, which are in itself illegal. But because of central government control, nobody can talk about that. Meanwhile, if you look at the GIDA project, it is a national project. Government is using this assembly common fund to fund it. You look at the Zoom Lion project, government is using this assembly common fund to fund it.
It's a private sector.
So go and check. You have about 10% out of the 100% resource from the DACF, which is supposed to go to assemblies, rather going. Government retains and uses sometimes up to 90% of the fund. So that's my point. Meanwhile, Article 252 is an entrenched provision that requires government to send the money to the assemblies. But government has taken over. So, in effect, because you have an appointed MMDC, he cannot complain. You have 30% of appointees supporting him in the assembly. So virtually, they control the assembly. The non-elected members, because of power play, they control the assemblies. So the assemblies are denied the requisite resources to development. So you can check from the turnover, the attrition rate of assembly members. Everybody is accusing them for not doing anything, even though they were elected, because their authority, their resources, their powers, their responsibilities have been usurped by central government through the agent of the district chief executive. If the person was elected, he will be accountable to the people. So he will have free range to be able to operate. After 4 years, if he is not able to perform, the people will not vote for him again. I also support the principle established by Dr. that you have competition. And besides that, you have options. You see, you have about 3, 4, 5 people contesting. You have an option to vote for one or the other. But in this instance, one person only is submitted to the assembly. If he is able to buy his way through, he gets approved. But he performs abysmally. And because of the underhand dealings, a lot of things are failing. And if we are not very careful, the whole assembly system will collapse. I think that we will have to take the bull by the horn. And we need strong advocates, because central government will never, ever on its own decide to let go this power that it has usurped. We need strong advocates like doctors, like the media, like civil society, like the clergy, like everybody, to make the strong advocacy. Because look, if you study the governance arrangement, like Doctor and I have all agreed and alluded to, delivery of services to the people is the most important factor in their very survival and existence. And the closest governance institution that can provide the service is the assemblies. Governments, like you rightly said elsewhere, do very little. They are concerned with macro policy framework. And the micro activity takes place at the local level. That ensures totality of development based on competition, based on options. Clearly, we need to revisit the situation. It's getting out of hand. It has become so volatile. If we don't manage it well, it will end somewhere.
Doctor, that turning point is what's going to be the absolute problem. How you tell the executive that, you know what, give up that sweet powers and just stay there and let these guys run it. That's where the problem is. Because then they are then going to panic that how many local authorities do we retain? Because we are very power hungry. We like to hang on to power. Whether we make use of it or not, we just know that we hang on to it. Who is going to put pen to paper to say, that's it, I'm letting go. Now you go and run your own affair.
I think the people of this country have made it abundantly clear that they don't like the present system as it is. And if we continue along this path, what we are going to have will be district chief executives who do not enjoy the support of the local people and who therefore will be very ineffective. You need the support of the local people to be able to deliver on the functions that have been allocated to you in the Constitution. You need the support of the local people to be able to deliver all the services that these assemblies, municipal assemblies and metropolitan assemblies should be delivering. Without their support, you cannot. So if we continue along this path, putting people there who do not enjoy the support of the people, we're not going to have development. That's for sure. Second, it is important for the president himself to ensure that whoever it is that is running the assembly is accountable to the local people. You are using the resources of the people to run the assembly. Now, the present system does not encourage accountability. The president put me there.
That's it.
And so long as I'm a good boy to the president, I am okay. And this is the reason why we are having so many rejections. Over the past 4 years, they have not been accountable to their own people. There are many other reasons anyway. But in the vast majority of the cases, they have not been very accountable to people. We don't want this to continue. And also, there will be no transparency. He doesn't have to let the people know about what is going on. The system, as we have practiced it up until this time, is not sustainable. And we must change. Hold the bull by the horn and allow political parties to contest freely to control local governments.
Thank you very much. That's been very insightful. George, thank you very much.
Hello?
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm most grateful to you for the opportunity.
And
we look forward to the day when decentralization will really be based on devolution of power, authority, and responsibilities, and then the technical expertise, so that this country would ensure totality of development, accountability, and good governance.
Thank you very much. That was George Cheiba, former president of National Association of Local Authorities. And in the studio with me was Dr. Kwesi Jonah, Senior Research Fellow at IDEC. My name is Nana Ansakwa. And, Doc, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tomorrow we're back here to do it all over again, but I'm sure they gave us some solutions. And I hope the powers that be are listening, and that sooner rather than later, competition in local district level, that would be really a good one. Thank you very much for watching.